I'd like to focus on the first Mishpat, the first sort of a commandment that we get this week's Torah portion. Nachmanides points out, right, if you acquire a Hebrew slave, the question is, why does the Torah start with this Mishpat? And Nachmanides says something fascinating. He says, so there are two reasons why we started with acquiring a Hebrew slave, because it reminds us of two things, of Exodus, of Yetziat Mitzrayim, right? Because we left there as slaves, and this has something to do with when we acquire a slave, what we're supposed to be thinking, and the way that a slave can then become free. And the second thing, and this is the point I want to get to, because this is a deep secret, is that it also reminds us of Maaseh Bereshit. It also reminds us of Genesis, of God creating the world. Now, how does it remind us of Exodus? As simple, we were slaves. We're talking about acquiring a slave. Okay. But what is the connection to Genesis? So Nachmanides says, right, how many days do you have in that first supposed, quote-unquote week? We have 7 days, then we have the Sabbath. Much to this element of 7 appears there are 7 days in the first week of existence. There are 7 years until, the status of a slave can change. There are 7 cycles of 7 years until we reach the Jubilee year. So 7, Nachmanides teaches us, is something that the Torah, it's a special number. And he says that this 7 is a secret, Sod Yemot HaOlam. It is the secret of the days of existence from Genesis until the Sabbath. And he says that this also alludes to Dvarim Gdolim B'Maaseh Bereshit. It alludes to great things regarding Genesis. Now this makes us wonder, right? I'm going to share with you a secret. So there's this Kabbalistic debate, or there's even a scholarly debate among scholars in medieval Kabbalah. So there's something called the secrets of the sabbatical, which says that one of the secrets is that from here we learn that much like the sabbatical is 7 years, and we have 7 cycles of 7 years, so we have 49 years. When Nachmanides says this is the secret of the days of existence, or the days of the world, is he alluding to that perhaps the world does not exist 7,000 years, right? Because we're told that just like that week is sort of a template for the time of existence, so much like there are 7 days and there are 7 years, and there are 49 years until we reach a Jubilee, is he perhaps implying that there are also 7,000 years of existence, or perhaps there are 49,000 years? And this was a Kabbalistic debate in the medieval era. Is the world going to exist for 7,000 years or 6,000 years? And then we head into redemption, the 7,000th, in the grand Sabbath, the year of the Shemitah, the sabbatical? Or are we going to have 7 cycles of 7,000 years where we reach the 7,000th year, where the world is sort of destroyed and then is recreated in a new format until we reach the 50,000th, the Jubilee year, and then we reach the happily ever after? So I'm going to leave it to you to read this Nachmanides and try and think, is there something that we can sort of lure out of this in terms of Nachmanides' view on the days of existence of the world? There are, of course, other secrets related to this, but we'll think about this. Shabbat Shalom.